Article 16. Realtors are shall not engage in any practice or take any action inconsistent with exclusive representation or exclusive brokerage relationship agreements that other realtors have with clients. Amended 104, Standard of Practice, 16 to 1. Article 16. Is not intended to prohibit aggressive or innovative business practices which are otherwise ethical, and does not prohibit disagreements with other realtors involving commission, fees, compensation, or other forms of payment or expenses. Adopted 193, amended 195. Standard of Practice. 16 to 2. Article 16. Does not preclude realtors from making general announcements to prospects describing their services and the terms of their availability, even though some recipients may have entered into agency agreements or other exclusive relationships with another realtor. A general telephone canvass, general mailing or distribution addressed to all prospects in a given geographical area or in a given profession, business, club, or organization, or other classification or group is deemed general for purposes of this standard. Amended 104. Article 16 is intended to recognize as unethical two basic types of solicitations. First, telephone or personal solicitations of property owners who have been identified by a real estate sign, multiple listing compilation, or other information service as having exclusively listed their property with another realtors. Second, mail or other forms of written solicitations of prospects whose properties are exclusively listed with another realtor when such solicitations are not part of a general mailing but are directed specifically to property owners identified through compilations of current listings, for sale, or for rent signs, or other sources of information required by Article 3 and multiple listing service rules to be made available to other realtors under offers of sub-agency or cooperation. Amended 104, Standard of Practice, 16, 3, Article 16. Does not preclude realtors from contacting the client of another broker for the purpose of offering to provide or entering into a contract to provide a different type of real estate service unrelated to the type of service currently being provided, e.g., property management as opposed to brokerage, or from offering the same type of service for property not subject to other brokers' exclusive agreements. However, information received through a multiple listing service or any other offer of cooperation may not be used to target clients of other realtors to whom such offers to provide services may be made. Amended 104, Standard of Practice, 16 4. Realtors shall not solicit a listing which is currently listed exclusively with another broker. However, if the listing broker, when asked by the realtor refuses to disclose the expiration date and nature of such listing, i.e., an exclusive right to sell, an exclusive agency, open listing, or other form of contractual agreement between the listing broker and the client, the realtor may contact the owner to secure such information and may discuss the terms upon which the realtor might take a future listing, or, alternatively, may take a listing to become effective upon expiration of any existing exclusive listing. Amended 194, Standard of Practice. 16-5. Realtors shall not solicit buyer-tenant agreements from buyers, tenants, who are subject to exclusive buyer-tenant agreements. However, if asked by a realtor the broker refuses to disclose the expiration date of the exclusive buyer-tenant agreement, the realtor may contact the buyer-tenant to secure such information and may discuss the terms upon which the realtor might enter into a future buyer-tenant agreement, or alternatively may enter into a buyer-tenant agreement to become effective upon the expiration of any existing exclusive buyer-tenant agreement. Adopted 194, amended 198. Standard of Practice. 16-6. When realtors are contacted by the client of another realtor regarding the creation of an exclusive relationship to provide the same type of service, and realtors have not directly or indirectly initiated such discussions, They may discuss the terms upon which they might enter into a future agreement, or, alternatively, may enter into an agreement which becomes effective upon expiration of any existing exclusive agreement. Amended 198, Standard of Practice. 16-7. The fact that a prospect has retained a realtor R as an exclusive representative or exclusive broker in one or more past transactions does not preclude other realtors R from seeking such prospect's future business. Amended 104, Standard of Practice. 16-8. The fact that an exclusive agreement has been entered into with a realtor ICR shall not preclude or inhibit any other realtor R from entering into a similar agreement after the expiration of the prior agreement. Amended 198, Standard of Practice. 16-9. Realtors ER, prior to entering into a representation agreement, have an affirmative obligation to make reasonable efforts to determine whether the prospect is subject to a current, valid exclusive agreement to provide the same type of real estate service. Amended 104, Standard of Practice. 16-10. Realtors are, acting as buyer or tenant representatives or brokers, shall disclose that relationship to the seller, landlord's representative or broker at first contact, and shall provide written confirmation of that disclosure to the seller, landlord's representative or broker, not later than execution of a purchase agreement or lease. Amended 104, Standard of Practice. 16-11. On unlisted property, realtors are acting as buyer, tenant representatives, or brokers shall disclose that relationship to the seller or landlord at first contact for that buyer or tenant, and shall provide written confirmation of such disclosure to the seller or landlord not later than execution of any purchase or lease agreement. Amended 104, Realtors ER shall make any request for anticipated compensation from the seller or landlord at first contact. Amended 198, Standard of Practice. 16-12 Realtors are, acting as representatives or brokers of sellers, landlords, or as subagents of listing brokers, shall disclose that relationship to buyers, tenants, as soon as practicable, and shall provide written confirmation of such disclosure to buyers, tenants not later than execution of any purchase or lease agreement. Amended 104, Standard of Practice. 16-13. All dealings concerning property exclusively listed, or with buyer tenants who are subject to an exclusive agreement, shall be carried on with the client's representative or broker, and not with the client, except with the consent of the client's representative or broker, or except where such dealings are initiated by the client. Before providing substantive services, such as writing a purchase offer or presenting a CMA, to prospects, realtors shall ask prospects whether they are a party to any exclusive representation agreement. Realtors shall not knowingly provide substantive services concerning a prospective transaction to prospects who are parties to exclusive representation agreements, except with the consent of the prospect's exclusive representatives or at the direction of prospects. Adopted 193, Amended 104, Standard of Practice. 16-14 Realtors. Realtors are free to enter into contractual relationships or to negotiate with sellers, landlords, buyers, tenants, or others who are not subject to an exclusive agreement, but shall not knowingly obligate them to pay more than one commission except with their informed consent. Amended 198, Standard of Practice. 16-15. In cooperative transactions, realtors shall compensate cooperating realtors principal brokers, and shall not compensate nor offer to compensate directly or indirectly any of the sales licensees employed by or affiliated with other realtors, without the prior express knowledge and consent of the cooperating broker. Standard of Practice. 16-16. Realtors are, acting as subagents or buyer-tenant representatives or brokers, shall not use the terms of an offer to purchase, lease, to attempt to modify the listing broker's offer of compensation to subagents or buyer-tenant representatives or brokers, nor make the submission of an executed offer to purchase thought lease contingent on the listing broker's agreement to modify the offer of compensation. Amended 104. Standard of practice. 16 to 17 Realtors are, acting as subagents or as buyer, tenant representatives, or brokers, shall not attempt to extend a listing broker's offer of cooperation and/or compensation to other brokers without the consent of the listing broker. Amended 104, Standard of Practice. 16-18. Realtors ER shall not use information obtained from listing brokers through offers to cooperate made through multiple listing services or through other offers of cooperation to refer listing brokers' clients to other brokers or to create buyer-tenant relationships with listing brokers' clients unless such use is authorized by listing brokers. Amended 102, Standard of Practice. 16-19 signs giving notice of property for sale, rent, lease, or exchange shall not be placed on property without the consent of the seller/landlord. Amended 193, Standard of Practice 16-20. Realtors, ER, prior to or after their relationship with their current firm is terminated, shall not induce clients of their current firm to cancel exclusive contractual agreements between the client and that firm. This does not preclude Realtors, R, principals, from establishing agreements with their associated licensees governing assignability of exclusive agreements. Adopted 198, Amended 110.